Well, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world as this morning, or as we speak. My name is Sheila George. I am the WAC North America President, and I want to welcome all of you to our latest installment in our WAC North America series of webinars focusing on social media for social good. Our webinar today is entitled Digital Activism, an Egyptian Perspective. I'm really looking forward to hearing from our presenter, but to introduce our presenter, I'm now going to hand things over to our MC for today, WAC North America Executive Committee member and the webinar series creator, Ali Simon.
Hi everyone, I'd also like to welcome you to this webinar. It's the third in our series of Social Media for Social Good. I'm an exec member of WAC North America, as Sheila mentioned, and I work as senior editor at the Anglican Church of Canada in Toronto. And for those of you who don't know, the World Association for Christian Communication is an international organization that promotes communication as a basic human right. So for our speaker today, we are delighted to welcome Kamal Sedra. He is an activist, blogger, and digital media consultant, and of course a member of WAC. He's based in Cairo, Egypt. Kamal has a long list of impressive accomplishments, so I'll just name two. He's the founder and manager of DISC Development. It's an organization that promotes human rights and freedom of expression. And he's also presented at the Silicon Valley Human Rights Conference in San Francisco. So just a logistical overview. Kamal is going to present for us, and you will hear his voice soon and see his PowerPoint slides. And during or after the presentation, you have the opportunity to ask questions through the chat function of GoToWebinar. So you should all see a toolbar on your screen with a space for you to ask questions. And these questions are being monitored by another WAC North America exec member, Aaron Green, who is helping us out behind the scenes. And then after the presentation, I will lead us in a bit of Q&A. So I'll pass it over to Kamal.
Hello. Hello all. I have the honor to be with you here to talk about the effect and the impact of social media in our Egyptian revolution and our situation now. And I hope I can take all your questions and try to answer it as I can. Okay, just okay. We will talk today about 7 topics, or I present in 7 stages. I'll talk about general background about Egypt, then political activism timeline about main events which happened before the revolution, appraising of social media, and then our revolution timeline. And after that, I'll talk about digital activism challenges and our current situation, and I'll take all of your questions and I'll try to answer it. As you know, Egypt, we are now more than 80 million population. Our main language is Arabic, and most of people can understand English. Not most of them, but most of educated people, because we have about 40% illiterate people. Our education system also is the worst 5 education system worldwide. I don't know why, but because there is no care or keen from the government about the education. Religions in Egypt, most of the population are Muslims. According to CIA website, it's 90%, and the others are Christian. But according to the church count in Egypt, it's about more than 15%. And according to Islamists, it's about 5% only. But there is no actual count, and I think for us, it's in Egypt they consider the count of Christian as a top national security secret. I don't know why. Most of people start to talk about the revolution from 2011, 25th of January, but let me talk about the earlier than that. In 2003, the Egyptian movement of change, Kifaya means enough, was established. Its first come to public attention in summer 2004 and achieved a much greater profile during the 2005 constitutional referendum and presidential election campaigns. Kifaya was by then a platform for protests against Hosni Mubarak presidentially, and the possibility of and the possibility of might seek to transfer power directly to his son Gamal Mubarak, and politically corruption. Kifaya has called for several demonstrations and marches against the regime. It was also the first oppositional non-partisan coalition movement without physical headquarters or parliament meeting place. Most of the people in Egypt, they like Kifaya because I think in the last 10 years it's the only opposition movement people know about it. In 2005 and 2004, there is no demonstrations against Mubarak except some small groups about maybe increasing salaries or something like that. But in 2005, everybody liked Kifaya and tried to support it, especially from US. In 2005, there is another group started. It's called Shayfenko. Shayfenko Arabic word mean we're watching you. And this has been formed by a group of non-politically oriented individuals working on monitoring the legality and the integrity of the presidential election in 2005 through participating via a wide range web of Egyptian volunteers from all ranges. In these days, in 2005, the most effective tool in web was email shots, and Yahoo groups, blogging. I think no one were here before about blogging except a few people, but in 2005 a lot of people understand what's the meaning of blogging, and a lot of users start to make this their blogs. During the first multi-candidate presidential election, within the first months, the launching of the initiative, 5,000 people, volunteers, joined online and actively participated. Over 1,000 volunteers to monitor this election. Shayfenko is another example of the grassroots political movement in Egypt, which use the internet to reach out. In 2006, this is the beginning of the government start to take attention about against the bloggers and internet activists. They start to monitor their work because they feel that there is an impact in the street. They found when they try to organize a demonstration or any activity in the street, they try to put it online, sending a lot of emails, try to write in their blogs, and they start also to put some photos and videos in what happens or what the violence happens from the police against this demonstration. And they start to try to monitor these bloggers and try to hack their blogs, and also they catch some of them, like Karim Amir, which you see the picture in the presentation. Karim Amir was in Islamic university called Al Azhar, and he wrote something against Islam, and they arrested him and put him in the jail for 3 years because what he wrote before. Not only Karim Amir, but there is a lot like Wael Abbas is a very famous activist, also a blogger in Egypt. And uprising of social media in 2008. Facebook started to be public in 2007 in Egypt, but in 2008 there is a group of workers in a city north of Cairo. They make a lot of demonstrations against about their salaries and to increase their salaries and benefits, and the activists in Cairo, because Cairo is the biggest city, they try to support them by establishing a new group called 6th of April Strike. And they call for a general strike in 6th of April 2008, and this group in 5th of April 2008 become to be 50,000 members. It was a huge number these days, and our Ministry of Interior, they issued a call for the public in the TV, state TV, and in the newspaper. They said there is no general strike tomorrow. Anyone will follow this call for general strike will punish him or her. And in 6th of April, early morning, Cairo is very crowded because there is a lot of people who want to go to work, but it not happened. A lot of people are stayed at home, and a lot of people wear black shirts and go out in the streets without going to work. And the police arrest a lot of people which are called for this general strike. A famous one of them was a girl called Isra Abdel Fattah, and they keep her in the jail for 25 days because of this call. And from this point, people understand that social media, especially Facebook, are very, very effective tool, and start to use it in a big range. And I remember first time to know about Facebook in 2007. It was a church invite me to talk about Facebook as a bad tool, because people the youth start to not studying but only staying on Facebook. This is my first first time I used Facebook. In 2000, I will talk now about the revolution, and especially what we call the revolution. In June 2010, a group of police officers used violence against a young man called Khalid Said. Khalid Said became a very famous one now, because after he died, a lot of murdered, a lot of people, they started a group in Facebook page called "All of Us Are Khalid Said," or in Arabic "Kullina Khalid Said," and they call for a lot of demonstration in Alexandria, which is Khalid Said from, and then in Cairo against the police violence. And a lot of statements come from our Ministry of Interior that we didn't use violence. Khalid Said are a drug dealer, or and he died because he took overdose of drug. And because a lot of people know Khalid Said personally, they don't believe in the official statements, and because of these mistakes of the Ministry of Interior, the number of people who participated in the demonstration are increased, and the number of people which participated online to write about it using Twitter, using Facebook, using YouTube, are increased, and a lot of people in the street, normal people, not activists, start to record a lot of violence happens to public from the police in the police station or in the streets. Because in Egypt it's normal that the police officer can use violence any place, use violence verbally or using his hand to hit someone. It's normal in our country before I think 2005, and before youth start to use the internet and put their reports in it. And also there is a big event happened in November 2010 because there is a lot of Islamists try to attack a church in Umraniya. Umraniya is a place in Giza. It's almost in Greater Cairo. And this is the first time that Christians start to make a demonstration outside that church place. Because most of the demonstration for Christian before, it was inside the church, inside the church border, not outside. And the police and a lot of public also, from some fanatic people, start to use violence against this demonstration, and they kill 2 people. And from this point, there is another thing appeared, that a lot of Muslims normal Muslims start to support Christian in this demonstration because they found the violence of the police are very big, and there is two guys and no one care about them or about the hurted people or the two died people. And there is some demonstrations started in Cairo, not beside the church, but in a lot of places to support them. And after only about 1 month and more in New Year Eve in 2011, I think there is a famous event happened when a bomb killed a lot of people outside the church in Alexandria. About 23 people died in this event. And the problem is, if you are familiar with the situation in Egypt, all of the churches, you will find the police officer stand out the church to try to save the church from these events. And in New Year Eve or Christmas or any event in the church, you will find about in every church more than 10 police officers stand in the front of the church, try to take care about the street and also to save the church. But the bomb was in the front of the church, and 23 persons died, but no one from them are from the police, and no one from the police are hurted. For most of the public and the citizens in Egypt understand the police is try to support this bomb, not, and they know about it because they go out before the explosion happened. And from this point, there is many demonstrations happened in Alexandria, in the church city, and also in all over Egypt. I participated in many in Cairo, many demonstrations supported by a lot of Muslims, not only Christians and Copts. Many Muslims are trying to support the Christians, and the police start to arrest a lot of Muslims, and they said this Muslim tried to kill some Christian, but most of them are very educated people, and I know most of them, they try to support the Christian demonstrations against the government, which are involved in this event in Alexandria. And they started to use Facebook, Twitter, YouTube videos. I remember this day I stayed in my computer and I follow many Twitter accounts and hashtag of Alexandria, and also I saw many videos from YouTube. Even the traditional TV channels and satellite channels start only to put the videos come from the activists on YouTube. And till now, in 2013, most of the programs talking about the street or talking about political issue, they only use the videos from YouTube, which a lot of people now put their videos. And after a few days, the Tunisian revolution started, and we are, as a Egyptian activists, try to support them by trying most of Tunisian tweet in French or in Arabic, and a few people know English, so we try to translate for them what they said in Twitter, and try to separate it for a lot of people like international journalists and the international community. And a lot of activists in Egypt said Tunisia start a revolution and the Egyptian not. Tunisians the quiet country, and we don't hear before there is a activist or something like that. They start to make a demonstration and the Egyptian not. A lot of activists in Egypt are very very nervous about that, and they start our revolution in 25 of January in 2001. Khalid Said fan page and 6th April movement and Al-Baradei group start to call for a big demonstration in all over Egypt against Hosni Mubarak regime and against the corruption. And as we know in these days, we know it's only demonstration like before. The demonstration started and the police use violence and arrest some of activists and will go to the jail, and all the demonstration or the protester will go to support them in the front of the court or in the front of the police station. But what happened is different. The police start to use violence, but the activist number are increased in a lot of places. And the second day in 2026, the government start to block Twitter. And why Twitter? Because Twitter was the main communication tool using by activists to say where we can meet, where is the violence happens, what happened in this place, please go to support this group in Tahrir Square, please support another group in the front of police station. They blocked Twitter, and the BBC invite me in this day to talk about the impact of blocking the Twitter, and I invest this gold opportunity for me as an activist to tell the public that no problem about blocking the Twitter. A lot of activists use a program called tourproject.org. Please visit the website and download the program, and you can access Twitter. In 27th of January, second day, the government understand also that Facebook is a very effective tool against them. They block Facebook, but the activists also they use proxy programs like Tor to try to access the blocked websites, and use also international media like BBC, Al Jazeera, Al Arabiya. There is a lot of satellite channels were in the street, and the activists start to try to use them to tell the public what happened and what the violence made by the government. And finally, our ex-government, they don't know what they do. They closed the internet, and they shut down the mobile, the GSM or mobile network. Only the landlines phones are working, but the problem is there is a lot of activists are online activists only. They not participating in the street, but there is no internet, so they go to the street to support the other protesters. The number in Tahrir Square and the other squares are increased. A lot of people in the street started, and the police are attacked by them, and the police are go out, and they leave all the places and leave also the police stations and go out. After Mubarak tried to solve this problem, he made a speech, a very maybe emotional speech in 1st of February, but second day of February, a lot of people try to support Mubarak by try to go to Tahrir Square and try to kill people, or to let them to go out of Tahrir. And you will see in the picture, it's a very famous event. A lot of people come with camels and horses and try to use violence with the protesters. And this event now are investigated, but because there is a lot of reporters support the idea that Muslim Brotherhood was involved to try also to do the same, but we don't know till now the truth to know what happened. But it was the last thing happened to Mubarak regime, and the Mubarak go out in 11th of February, and you see an activist try to make he's happy because Mubarak go out. Sorry. Sorry. I want to talk about the challenges also happened to digital activists. I'm starting to say it. In 2006, our police and the national security tried to monitor the activists and try to attack their blogs and their Facebook accounts. And even there is a very famous case that they tried to hack Google Gmail accounts, and they hired a German company to support them to open to hack the Gmail accounts for activists. And national security, after that, they bring a lot of secrets, maybe personal secrets for activists, and they put it in public in Facebook and Twitter, and also they try to know which one who manage groups like Khalid Said pages or Khalid Said's Facebook page or the others. they hack a lot of accounts and they try to block some websites, but they didn't succeed because most of activists are trained how to go to how to open or to see the website, and they arrest many people. Till now, we have a lot of people, especially bloggers, are arrested during Muslim Brotherhood era and our military council. Me as a worker in human rights field, we try to train a lot of people how about digital security, how to make a long password, how to use encrypted emails, encrypted chat programs, and also how to save their identity, how to hide their identity when they use the internet. Our current situation, the last point I'll talk about, I think the picture is enough. We feel as an activist, and as a human rights organization, we feel afraid. We feel that the situation now is not secure. It's worse than Mubarak regime. We are afraid that in the military regime like Mubarak, we will go to the jail because we try to use our right to communicate, our right to right to expression. But the problem now is we don't. I'm not afraid as an activist from the regime only, but I'm afraid from the regime supporters like Muslim Brotherhood members, like Salafist members, which believe that violence is a very successful tool they used against a lot of protesters before, and they killed some people during the last few months. And a lot of youth now, activists, they're afraid like before. We start to use the internet and we say with our real identity, but now a lot of activists start to hide their identity again because they're afraid from our current government, which are not believe in human rights or freedom of expression. They only believe of their success. I hope I go quickly to say what happened, and I'm waiting for your questions.
Great. Thank you very much, Kamal. I'm hoping that everyone can hear me. Yeah, I think that I've been transferred. Yes, this is Ali again. Can you hear me? Kamal, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Okay, great. Well. So that means that other people can hear me as well. Kamal, thank you so much for that great presentation. That was a really helpful overview, certainly illuminating, and it's so inspiring to hear about this important work in a really difficult political situation. So thanks again. We already have a couple of questions that have come in, and before I read them out, I'll just encourage everyone to send in your questions through the chat function that you'll see on the toolbar. You can also follow the conversation that we're having on Twitter. We have a couple of people who are tweeting, and they're using the hashtag WACCNA, so that's WACCNA. So the first question is coming from Eric. He's asking Kamal, any idea how many digital activists there were or are compared to people in the streets, and which is more effective? Kamal, did you get that question? Oh, I think we've actually lost Kamal. I don't see him on the lineup here. Maybe Aaron, our tech-wise person, could just fill us in. Oh, I think he's coming back. Maybe we just have a bit of a connection problem. Kamal, did you hear that last question?
Sorry, I'm here again.
Okay, no problem. I'll just read that question again for you. I'm glad you came
okay,
back.
sorry.
The people are dying to know the answer to these questions, so it's great you're here. So the question from Eric was, any idea how many digital activists there were or are compared to people in the streets, and which is more effective?
Very good question and very difficult. Before the revolution, it was, I think, hundreds of activists, real activists, which took training in human rights organizations or fellow human rights organizations online, because I mean they took trainings before, because there is in our education system and in our traditional medias, there is no talk about freedom of expression or human rights. And no one know about human rights, no one know about democracy, except some people which are started to took training with NGOs or something like that. After the revolution, our people start, a lot of people start to be activists, especially Copts. Why Copts? Because Copts before the revolution, they were only in the churches. They didn't participate in public life in any of events. But after the revolution, they start to feel they are a part, and their voice can raise again. They can say what they want. Before, there is no channel to talk. Most of the newspapers or the TV channels are owned by the government, and they didn't talk about Christians or Copts problem because it's a national security for them. I don't know why. But there is thousands, I can say millions of people start to be an activist. Comparing with in the street, in 6th of April movement start to support the activists in the street but online. And they start to not work only online, because if you know Muhammad al-Baradei, he started his group in, I think, in 2010, and during these days they start to make visits and seminars on the streets. They visit more areas, talk about what's the meaning of freedom of expression, what's the meaning of democracy. And from this point, as I know, there is a very good connection between the online activist and the on the street activist. And during the revolution in Tahrir Square, if you see any photos or videos, you will find, I think, more than 75% of the attendees in Tahrir Square protesters are not online activists. Most of them didn't use internet before. But I think this is because of the connection of the online activists and their in the street activities, which most of the effective way, which is the NGOs. There is a lot of NGOs, human rights NGOs, which made a lot of activities. My organization in 2007, we reached 35,000 youth. We learn them what the meaning of democracy, what the meaning of election system, and something like that. I don't have a count about the numbers, but I think now we have about 40 million internet users. I think most of the youth are using the internet. You can consider them as an activist, not maybe a leader for others, but everybody now take photos and videos in what happens in the street and try to promote it. If someone found a police officer are corrupted and he can take photo, he will put the photo. If he cannot take photo, he will write. Yesterday there was a lot of training in Egypt, and the country are not equipped for this training. You will find, if you open the Facebook or Twitter, you will find thousands of photos and videos about what in the street, what happened in the street, and a lot of people talk why the government don't do anything. Our government are not good enough to do that, something like that. I hope I answered your questions here.
Thank you, Kamal. That's great. The next question is from Miriam, and it overlaps a little bit with what you were just talking about, but I'll ask her question just straight up. She's asking, were Christian bloggers more active than Muslim ones in some periods of this revolution?
Really, I cannot say Coptic are activists more than Muslims, because comparing with the percentage of Muslims and Copts, I think it's not. I think that it's the same percentage. You will find about 15% of the activists are Christian and the other are Muslims. There is no count, but as an activist, I found a lot of names, because in Egypt we have a small problem that you can know your relation from your name. I can found Matthew, I can found John, George, and I can found also Muhammad and Ahmad and Ali. It's mean Christians or Muslims. I think it's 15 20% of activists are Christians. And when the Christians start to go out, I think to start to say that in at November 2010, people start to make a demonstration outside the church, because before of that, the Christians start to make some demonstration in the patriarchy place, the big church, the cathedral in Abbasiyah, but inside the church. They didn't go outside. But some of them are activists with political parties or with movement outside. Like one of the founder of Kifaya movement was a Christian. One of the biggest, the main leader was Christian, and some of the second level are Christian. But I mean, the whole Christians was not go out the church before November 2010. Most of them are only demonstrate inside the church. And in events, some happened like Al-Kosh, if you know about Al-Kosh in 2006, sorry, 2003, I think they killed 20 people in Upper Egypt, and all the people are, after the court, they go out, they didn't charge. And also in some events like some fanatics people or Salafis attack a church, the Christian go to the church to make a demonstration inside the church. But if we can see outside, I think the history will say in 2010 Christians go out in November 2010 after some people attack Al Umraniya church in Giza.
To keep on this topic, Rebecca is asking, do Christians and Muslims currently work together as activists for human rights? So Kamal, could you speak a bit about partnerships between Christians and Muslims?
Really, when you go to the human rights activists, most of them you cannot know if Christian or Muslims, if their name not mentioned. This means most of the human rights believer or human rights well-educated people, they don't care about the religion. But the problem is, during Mubarak regime, there is a lot of Muslim Brotherhood members and Salafist members are involved with some political groups like Kifaya and 6th April movement. And these people, unfortunately, they don't believe in the other. They don't believe in other relation. Some of them are started alone to activists, not with Christian or something that. But now, these days, I think normal Muslims and the Christians are already agreed about human rights, agreed about a lot of issues in the community, and they work together. And you will find about now maybe 30% of human rights organizations are managed by Christians. And the most NGO talking about Coptic issue and they make some researches and events are a Muslim organization. I know them personally. They are Muslim and they understand the needs of Copts and understand that they are a second level. Sorry, they understand that the government deal with them as a second level citizens. So they try to promote their issues and try to solve it. I think there is no problem if we come to human rights activists and the freedom of expression activists. But the problem is you can find in normal, not educated people in poor areas. Most of the illiterate people or not educated, they follow the religious leader in these places, and unfortunately, most of the religious leaders in Islam side are fanatics. They are against Christianity, and they try to lead these illiterate people which are not educated. They don't understand what the meaning of human rights. They understand only that God say hate this relation, so you should hate, and they say that every day in the TV. You will find a lot of TV channels separate the idea that you should hate Christians. You cannot go to them and say Merry Christmas. If you say Merry Christmas, you are now against God. This is a big problem if our population are 40% are illiterate people. And also the other side, not only the illiterate people, but also the political activists which involved with we have now 8 political party, Islamist political party. Seven of them are Salafis, and Salafis is against Christian يعني directly, and they are يعني pure to say that we are against Christian, we are not with them, and we need the Egypt as a Islamic state. And some of them said if Christian not happy, they can go out and go to search for another country. I'm sorry to say that, but it's real. يعني if you follow يعني the Egyptian situation and you can read what happened, you will see a lot of messages like that go to the public by TV or Islamic TV.
Thank you, Kamal. The next question that we have is from Augustin, who's writing to us from Delhi. He says, the revolution has produced good results in Cairo, but not so in the rest of the country. What do you say about the urban and rural divide?
I think not only Cairo, but there is another place like Suez or Alexandria. They are participated in the revolution, and if you know the weight of Cairo comparing with all of the Egypt, Cairo is the capital. I think 99% of the bigger companies are inside Cairo. Cairo normal day is 25 million people stay in Cairo to work or to live. You are right in some points, because some of other places are not involved, because most of Upper Egypt cities and villages are very poor. They search for their right to live, not political right, not democracy, but they search for food only. And this is one of our problems, because in the elections, Muslim Brotherhood try to give them some food to elect them or to select them in the elections.
All right, our next question is from Adan. He asks, are there partnerships or collaborations between activists in Egypt and activists in North America?
Me as an example, I'm one of, I took a fellowship with Freedom House in USA. I visited a lot of international NGOs, human rights NGOs, and when anything happened in Egypt, I try to promote it to them. I try to write for them. I try to send some photos, and they try to support us. Like in 2010, and I think in February 2010 or January, sorry, in Christmas Eve in Upper Egypt, some people, Muslim people, kill 6 people in the front of the church of Naga Hamadi in Asyu. And when they happened, a lot of activists, Muslim and Christian, try to go to the families to support them in Upper Egypt. And when they enter in the train station, the police arrest all of them. And after the arrest of them, most of them are tweeted to international NGOs, and they tweet to international community and media. And after 24 hours, they release all of them because they are afraid from international pressure. But what we do now, and what we use it, even 2 days ago, is an activist in Lebanon, one of my friends. When anything happens, we try to use the international pressure by supporting of Western country activists.
So Kamal, I'll just follow this up with my own question. What can we be doing to support important work like yours in Egypt?
I think now we have a big problem as a NGOs, and also as an activist. Most of our work needs some support, even maybe to transfer us some knowledge training. After the revolution, we lose a lot of support from international organizations, because a lot of Western countries don't like to support Muslim Brotherhood, and because they don't like to support Muslim Brotherhood, they don't support civil society in Egypt. I can say 50% of NGOs now are closed after 2 years after the revolution, and also our ex-government by the military council, if you know about the foreign funding case, they attack I think 7 or 8 international organizations like IRI, NDI, Freedom House, and there is a big case in the court now a lot of NGOs, international NGOs and the international funders will not take the risk to come to Egypt again. But the only hope for our people is human rights organizations, because now the current situation is not. I'm not optimistic that the near future we will find the same tool, like internet. Yani there is a lot of Salafis apply to they win a case in the court. They will block the porno sites. And if you search in this issue, you'll find 100% of the countries which block the porno sites, they block also the human rights sites and the opposition's website. But they will start to make a big censorship and monitoring the internet now. I don't know, and I found a lot of activists also they go out and make asylum because they are afraid about their lives and their families. I think we need support to raise our voices to the government, like U.S. government. U.S. government support Muslim Brotherhood because the Muslim Brotherhood agrees that they will save Israel or will save the relationship with the U.S. But Muslim Brotherhood takes this as a step. But after they become strong, they will be against U.S. and against anybody because they believe only in themselves as they believe on the Islamic empire against the Western kuffar. If you know the meaning of kuffar, kuffar for them are not religious people. I hope we can raise our voice. I visited the Congress before 2 years ago, and I make a speech to the congressmen, and I told them, we are so happy that you make a good relation with our government. Now in this days it was Mubarak regime, but please, this good relationship. Hello.
Hello,
Yes.
we can
Okay.
still hear you.
This
Yes,
relationship impact. Yes. The problem is this: when you support our government, you are against the human rights activists and the NGOs. So try to do something. And someone of the congressmen said to me that you came for us one time in your life, but every day there is a visit from the Egyptian government try to say words against you. So how can you change our minds? This is what happened nowadays. Muslim Brotherhood and our embassy in US and in Western countries, they hire lobbying companies to try to support and to separate that Muslim Brotherhood and our government are very, very good and open-minded, and they believe in human rights and the freedom of expression. But it's not true. I think, I hope we can communicate with international NGOs like WAC members. Communication for all. So we need to maybe to say to the Western countries and the other countries that our situation in Egypt are horrible for human rights and the freedom of expression. And I think 50% of the decisions which is taken in Egypt, I think it's took by pressure of the Western countries. We are in Middle East.
Thank you very much, Kamal. That's really important food for thought for all of us. A couple more questions. The next one is from Terry. He asks, or maybe she asks, I'm not sure who Terry is, the revolution in Egypt and the Middle East in general proves that social media is indeed an effective tool for communication, particularly real-time news reporting. On the other hand, when information is abundant, rumors and speculation are easy to thrive and disseminate. What are the major ethical issues that journalists and communicators should observe to ensure that they're playing a constructive role, rather than amplifying false information and adding to speculation?
Let me summarize what I understand. You talk about the verification of the data, yes?
Yes, the question was about ethical issues that journalists and communicators face.
Yes. Crowdsourcing as a new tool in the internet, I think it's verify itself, not like newspapers. Yeah, in newspaper you maybe you trust the newspaper or trust the TV channel, but in the Facebook as example, if you put a wrong photo or a false photo or يعني Photoshop photo, you will find thousands of people say it's wrong. It's a wrong photo. It's not real. If you put any rumors or something like that, you will find a lot of people. And I think the solution for the problem of wrong data or false data online is to increase the number of users. If I increase the number of users, I think the network or the crowdsource will say what's the right and what's the wrong. In country like Egypt, you will find maybe 50 newspaper. 40 of them are promoting false false news. But in social media, they cannot do that because there is a lot of people who will say this newspaper said a wrong or a false news. I think with the increased number of the users in crowdsourcing, I think it will filtered automatic. It's not the situation only in Egypt. I think in all over the world the same.
Thanks, Kamal. Our last question that we have lined up is from Eric, and he's asking, is it possible to train digital activists? Is it possible to herd them so that they're all pointed in the same direction? And if so, how?
Sorry, the question again? Sorry.
Sure. Sorry, I read a little fast. So the question is it possible to train digital activists? Is it possible to herd them, to organize them, so that they're all pointed in the same direction? And if so, how do you do this?
I think we cannot do that because internet give anybody to express what he believes in. If I wanted to promote maybe like an idea about human rights or about freedom of expression, I think we can train people. My organization, as a lot of human rights organizations, try to train people about human rights or the freedom of expression, and we leave them to choose how they can promote these ideas or how can he support these ideas. I cannot talk all of them to talk about idea or to work like the same. But I think you can train, and if you ask about you can, yes, we can. We have a lot of organizations here. We train a lot of people. I'm work as a trainer. I travel a lot to Arab countries to train people. I have office in Tunisia, in Libya. I train a lot of people in Yemen, Lebanon, and in Egypt. I have a project called the NGO School. We train every week maybe about 100 NGOs and activists, and we don't feel any problems till now from the government. But our work is legal, and we try to, maybe if we train about digital security, we don't say we train about digital security. We say we train about how to save your data and how to save your computer from virus, from hackers. But inside this subject, we try to train them how to send encrypted emails, how to secure using your mobile phone, how to use your GPS. This only the concern, but we can train in everything. Maybe the relations issue are very sensitive in Egypt. We cannot train in some issues in relations, but in the other no problem till now. I mean till now because our government are new and they try to build their power again. Till they build their power, I think we will afraid after that.
Thanks, Kamal. One last question. We just had another one come in from Terry, so I find it very interesting, so I'm going to make time for it. She's asking, we know it's Terry Mutuku, she's asking, have you noticed differences between women's and men's digital activism? For instance, whether there are marked gender differences in the issues that were raised during the uprising and up to the current period? Really, there is no difference except that a lot of women try to support women issues like sexual harassment, because it's a very bad in Egypt and very popular, and also to support during our last constitution is against women, but there is a lot of women try to support this issue. But in our work as a human rights activist, I have an initiative before 3 years ago about against sexual harassment. I think we all work together, except in women and the feminists, they try
they try to make more activities in this issue, more than men.
That's very interesting. Yeah, and so appropriate given the situation in India right now. That's a hot topic.
Yeah, the same, I think, the same culture. Yani maybe near it's look like our culture, because in our culture women are minority, not minority in number, but minority in rights. And the problem in women that when the religious fundamentals or Islamic religious fundamentals come to be like our president or our government, it's mean more marginalized to the woman. This is the problem. The Muslims try to say this is not Islam, because Islam is make equal Islam men and women. But the problem is the loud voice, the louder voice are the fanatics against women, not the normal people or the human rights people.
All right, Kamal, we could talk to you all day, but we have to wrap it up. Thank you again so much for this really helpful background about the history.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, thank you. Really interesting information about the history of digital activism in Egypt and insight into the current situation. You've given us lots to think about, and we look forward to following you in these spaces online. For those of you who are just tuning in now, I'd encourage you to check out Kamal's full bio, which we have posted on our website. So the website for WAC North America is north-america@wacglobal.org. That's north-america@waccglobal.org. So there's a full bio of Kamal. You can hear about his organization, and hopefully we can find ways to learn more about this situation and support him in the future. So thanks everyone for attending, and follow our web space for information about future WAC North America activities and webinars. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day.